Fox News alert right now. Later this morning, the Supreme Court is set to hear arguments on if the government crossed the line by pressuring social media sites to remove content. Missouri Senator Eric Schmitt filed the original lawsuit when he was an attorney general. He joins us now. Senator, great to see you. Why should people care about what's happening today? How will it affect all of us?
Well, it's the most important free speech case in our lifetime because it involves some of the highest-ranking government officials in our country colluding and coercing with some of the biggest social media companies in the world to suppress millions of posts related to the Hunter Biden laptop story, the origins of COVID, the lab leak, efficacy of masks, and much more. And the scope of this, Brian, is Orwellian and it's breathtaking. And so we were able to achieve a victory at the lower court. The Supreme Court's going to rule on that junction and make sure that stays in place so that the government officials can't censor speech. We know that to be true, but they also, Brian, can't outsource that to these social media giants either.
All right, so just give everybody at home a timeline on the government censorship. On October 14th, the New York Post Twitter account suspended for reporting that Hunter Biden's laptop story. They said it was fake. We know it's real. On the 27th of 2021, Facebook lifts the ban on posts regarding COVID-19 lab leak theories. They didn't want anybody saying it was man-made. July 15th, 2021, White House flagging posts for Facebook to censor over COVID misinformation. And then in 2022, Missouri versus Biden filed. That is where we're at today. And then the Twitter files that I found unbelievably it gets you angry, but that gets released, exposed even more. July 4th, preliminary injunction bans coordination between the federal government and social media companies regarding censorship. That got stopped, and the Supreme Court hears arguments, and that's where we're at today. So what will change? What is your strongest argument? And what are you most worried about in defense?
Well, I think that what's important to realize, Brian, is that this isn't just a one-off of a couple of officials. This was a vast censorship enterprise, a leviathan of government officials and agencies working together to suppress speech. You saw the pre-bunking of the Hunter Biden laptop story. We took the deposition of the FBI agent who was doing that. That's part of it. But then when you... Yeah, Elvis Chan, when you get into COVID, then we actually took the deposition of Anthony Fauci, which was, I think, unique to this case, too. But basically, you had anybody who was espousing a belief that it was a lab leak theory or questioning the efficacy of masks. The Surgeon General himself was text messaging high-ranking social media officials saying, take it down. And it was these threats, these underlying threats of, we're going to take on, you know, an antitrust case. You're going to lose your Section 230 protections if you don't censor more. All of this led to, again, the power and the size of the federal government coming down on social media companies. Now, some of them were willing, some of them wanted to kind of take some of these down, but there were instances where they were actually pushing back and the government said, do it or else. And one of the judges actually commented in one of the hearings, which is, that's a nice social media company. It'd be a shame if you lost it, right? I mean, that's the kind of gravity they were putting on top of these social media companies to actually censor speech. And so the reason why this is the most important free speech case in our lifetime is that typically these cases had to do with being able to speak on the town square, right? Now we've moved into a place where there's a virtual town square. And what we can't have is the federal government doing it in around the Constitution to get somebody else or some other company to do their bidding, which is exactly what's the case here.
I just real quick, the Sunday Times, I was just getting ready for this interview, did a real hit piece on you guys yesterday. Just basically how you guys are winning with your disinformation, and this is bad for the country. It's counterintuitive, I would think, to everything you just explained. How do you feel about that?
Well, it's amazing to me that people who are warning about threats to democracy who want to actually bulldoze democracy. I mean, the First Amendment, I'm 48, right? So I'm old enough to remember when liberals actually defended the First Amendment and free speech. And now where we've gotten into this weird place in order to sort of to protect Democrats or whatever their ideology is, they're willing to sort of believe in censorship or advocate for censorship under the guise of this is disinformation. The truth of the matter is you fight information you don't agree with more information, with more speech.
Yes.
You don't let the government suppress speech, and I think they've lost the plot here. It's really a shame, but you know, I'm going to keep fighting for this. I know there's a lot of people who care very deeply about the First Amendment, which is why this case today is so important.
Best of luck, Senator. I'm so glad you did it. We all benefit from it, and I look forward to the outcome. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Brian.
You got it. Meanwhile, let's go.